LPVOs are dead. All hail the new ruler, the MPVO. Or whatever clickbait title your favorite GTuber could come up with. And the G stands for gay. Sardonic jokes aside, today we are going to be talking about the Maven RS1.2. Now, full disclosure on this optic is that Maven has sent me several of their optics in the past, and this is one of the last items that I've accepted from a manufacturer. I've already reviewed their RS.1, which is their entry level 2.5 to 15, the high-end RS.4, which is a 5 to 30 and about $1,800. And now we have here the middle-of-the-road option, the RS1.2, with most of the features that you're looking for. Along with this, they also sent out their 8x monocular and a 5x rangefinder, which I've been using ever since. Getting into basics, we have a 14-inch long body, 30mm main tube, 44mm objective, and weight comes in at 26.7 ounces. In terms of controls, our elevation dial is exposed and in quarter MOA increments. The adjustments themselves are very tactile and precise, and the clicks sound pretty darn good. Both caps are covered in this nice knurling material that also is on our magnification ring, which we'll talk about in just a second. The windage dial is capped, though underneath you will still find a full-size turret with excellent adjustments. On the left-hand side of the body, we have our parallax adjustment, which goes all the way down to 10 yards and out to infinity. And we have our illumination, which goes from 1 to 10 with an offsetting in between. Moving back to our magnification ring, we have a very light, smooth throw from 2.5 to 15. It is 180 degrees. And again, covered in this very aggressive knurling, similar to what you would find on a deadlift bar, which I think is the third time I've said that now, as this is the third Maven scope that I've played around with. Other than that, in the back, you have a diopter for adjusting the reticle to your eyes. Now, all of that comes in at a price tag of $1,200-ish, which for good Japanese glass and some of the features you're looking for isn't a terrible price, especially when we compare it to some other high-end options. Now, for a quick 30-second ad break from our new sponsor. Features aside, let's talk about actually using the thing. In terms of eye relief, we have a nearly constant 4 inches, which is perfectly adequate, or so I'm told. The eye box on the low end 2.5x is extremely forgiving up, down, left, and right. And when we go all the way up to 15x with that 44mm objective, it is reasonable given the magnification. If you're shooting from stable positions, it's very easy to get a full sight picture. Now, for that mid-tier price of $1,200, the glass quality is pretty good until we get to about 12 to 15x. I recently had the opportunity to shoot the Maven back-to-back with the Nightforce NXS 2.5 to 10 by 42, back-to-back at the exact same targets and distances, and while the NXS only goes up to 10x magnification, at 10x, the glass is nearly perfect, whereas the 15x on the Maven is a little bit more milky, a little bit less defined. The resolution doesn't come across quite the same way. Now, when you back that magnification down a little bit, it does clear up quite a bit. So I would say on the low end, it's on par with basically almost any other optic out there. But when you're stretching that magnification range to the maximum, it does degrade the quality a little bit, especially at about 900 yards where we were shooting that day. Glass quality is either good or very good, but not top tier. Now, the field of view is only rated at 41 feet at 2.5x on the Maven, which is actually kind of mediocre. However, that is not the way that it appears to my eye, so I'm going to kind of have to disagree with the spec sheet. Maybe that has something to do with the way that the image presents itself with the larger rear ocular section or the very forgiving eye relief and eye box, but it definitely feels better than that, and it was more than adequate for what I was actually doing. Dialing up to the reticle, this specific example has the MOA-2 reticle. They do offer 3 different reticle variations, 2 MOA and 1 mil. However, both the other MOA and mil reticle are far more bare bones than what I personally like, and I would like more in the reticle to take advantage of at extended distances, which I have taken the scope out to 1,220 yards, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So I selected the MOA-2 reticle, which is, as the name implies, in MOA. So if you are only a mil guy, well, this is just not the one for you, as they really don't have a good reticle until you get to the much more expensive Maven RS.4. But going over this reticle briefly, in the center we have a very fine floating dot. This is of course first focal plane, so the reticle is going to adjust as you adjust through the magnification range. Below that, we essentially have a 5x5 MOA Christmas tree, which is about 1.5 mils. I prefer a 1x1 mil grid as it's just very simple. So while the MOA Christmas tree is a little more coarse than I would personally like, it does have all the information needed within it to make accurate shots out to distance, but I know that it's not going to be everyone's preference. At max magnification, you get about 40 MOA of drop within the reticle, which is needed when you're taking some stupid shots with stupid short calibers. Now, talking about durability, I have used this scope for almost a year now on many different builds, including a 18-inch 6 arc, 14.5-inch 6.5 Creedmoor, which we took out to 1,200 yards, the 18-inch SPR build that you see here, and several others. Probably over 1,000 rounds of mixed caliber, and it has held up just fine. On top of that, we did a slightly impromptu drop test on the last day of filming.
Let's see if it's still zero, shall we?
And yes, even with the exposed non-locking elevation turret, it held zero perfectly fine. So now actually getting behind the RS1.2 and relaying how it was to use, inside of 700 to 800 yards, I found it extremely usable. Part of that is the combination of the way the glass looks when you're not necessarily at max magnification. I think it looks very good. Combining that with the very, very good usability, the eye relief and eye box, meaning that even if you're shooting from stranger positions or if you're not getting a perfect sight picture behind it, it's still very usable and somehow more forgiving than other scopes in this magnification range.
We're gonna go 2 and 3 at 5. So we'll have to dial in between, which should be quite fun. Oh, 5 for 5. It's not bad.
Again, this is an optic that I managed to take out to 1,200 plus yards on a 14.5-inch 6.5 Creedmoor, which is well outside of its recommended use case. And if you're looking at shooting the better part of a mile, this probably isn't the scope for you in the first place. Again, if we take it back for just a second, inside of its intended use case, that 50 to 800 yards or so, I think that it does a really good job. Is it going to be top tier, best of the best? No, because you're not spending that kind of money. Now, you can certainly get most of this performance by spending about 1/3 to 1/4 as much money with other options on the market. The Vortex Venom 3.5 to 15, a couple of the Athlon scopes come to mind as well that do most of what this does at a much lower price point. And while we're talking about price point, I think that this does miss a couple features that most people are going to like. Number one is going to be a good mill-based reticle. Most serious shooters are using mill-based reticles. There's a lot of math you can do with it. It's very quick and intuitive. There's lots of dope built off of mills, and if you ask people to convert over to MOA, it looks like you asked them to shoot their firstborn child. On top of a updated mill-based reticle, I would also like to see a locking top turret since it is exposed. I am perfectly fine with the capped windage, as that is probably reasonable for the distances most people are going to be shooting with an optic like this. While yes, I enjoy using the optic, I do understand that asking more than $1,000 is problematic when it seems to be missing a couple features that more high-end scopes would have. It kind of sits in an odd zone in terms of price to performance, because while the glass is good and the features are mostly there, it's still missing a couple things for the more demanding shooter. But with all of that out of the way, gentlemen, let me know what you think of the Maven RS1.2, what you think its competition is, and another optic in this price range or category that you'd like me to check out. But now for real, thank you once again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. God bless.
Alrighty, so we are at 895, quite literally 895 yards. We are going to dial up another 12 and give me a lot more wind. I'm gonna go up to like 6. Now that's the one area where probably at this distance, just under 900 yards, that the extra BC is finally gonna start to come into play. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Give me another 5. And we overcorrected a little bit for wind actually, so we didn't need nowhere near as much as we did on the other. Literally all like just off the edge. I'm edging the plate, it's edging me, something like that. Just underneath. There it is. Don't recommend doing that, especially with a suppressor this loud. But we are basically right on. We're gonna send a few more in. There we go. Good hit. No, just above. Yeah, I'm not trying that last one, but a couple hits in there. I wish these microphones weren't, where is it? I wish these microphones weren't so bad and we could actually see a little better. But c'est la vie. Hopefully the other mics are much better.